Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday, February 14th, Valentine's City Council Business Agenda. I will call the order to meeting and the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation, if she chooses, will be led by Councilwoman Hill.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hill. We do not have any special presentations this evening. We'll accept a motion on the minutes. Have a motion on the minutes. I hear a second to that motion. They will stand without objection. Order of business for City Council ordinances on final reading planning. Item A, Madam Clerk, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 1622 Brett Street from R1 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse zero lot line zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilwoman Knoll, this is in your district on a final read. Have a motion to approve. I've got a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Ordinances on first reading. Council office, item A, please. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 11 to add new definitions for absentee and homestay rentals, create an appeals process by an administrative hearing officer for absentee applicant disputes, and by the short-term vacation rental board for homestay applicants, creating the short-term vacation rental board and establishing density and distance restrictions for short-term rental units within the short-term vacation rental district in the new sections 11.510 through 11.526.
Councilwoman Hill.
Thank you, Chairman. So for anyone that's here that's interested in short-term vacation rental, I would encourage you to take a look at the agenda session that we just had. There's a really interesting and spirited conversation about where different council people are on that. And I talk a lot about this council and how we work together. We have a great deal of respect for one another, and out of respect for Councilwoman Knoll in District 8, I would like to make a motion that we defer this 1 week. I would also like to have a little discussion after we get a second.
I have a motion on the floor for deferral to February 21st.
Thank you.
And I have a second to that motion. The floor is open.
Mr. Anderson, may I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
In our agenda session, there was quite a lot of conversation about the concept of not allowing short-term vacation rentals in residential areas and moving them forward only in commercial areas and or commercial thoroughfares. I wonder if that is something that the administration might be able to help bring some thought to, because we had discussed having some guardrails on what those commercial corridors might look like, with the intent also of coming up with something that would also allow us to lift the overlay and go citywide with this. Would that be something that the administration would be able to help with, or would you like me to put a pin in that and we talk about it maybe next week?
There's a lot of that in what I presented to you in October, so
There
I believe
is.
I can just take the language from that and have something.
But we need to tighten it up, though, with some guardrails.
2 weeks might be better than one, but if you tell me it's 1 week, I'll do my best to get something back to you in a week.
Okay, well, we'll stand with the defer for 1 week in the event that Councilwoman Knoll has something to bring at that point.
Okay, thank you. And I assume we can meet about this later and you can tell me exactly what you want.
Absolutely, though I may not be the person that'll be leading that discussion, but I'd be happy to
Fair
talk with
enough.
you. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I do have a motion on the floor for deferral to February 21st. Is that correct? And I do have, questions or comments. Just want to make sure we have the motion on the floor. Councilwoman Knoll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If Councilwoman Hill would not mind, I would prefer 2 weeks, if that's okay.
I have a motion on the floor for the 21st, which we'll need to address.
Mr. Chair, that's the question
Sure.
about the 2 week deferral. So it was over questions that you have, I guess, in order to say, okay, 2 weeks. What questions, what questions do you have that you think will take 2 weeks to do?
Am I still active? I am.
You are.
There are some questions as well that's looking at another avenue, the commercial corridor. So I'm thinking 2 weeks would be better than one. Ms. Anderson, can you come back up?
So you are thinking about bringing a alternate version for commercial corridors?
That's a possibility. Is that possible, Ms. Anderson?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
The commercial corridors, is there a possibility for us to look at that?
Yes.
2 weeks?
The commercial corridors I can have to you tomorrow.
Okay.
A new draft legislation that does what you want, I cannot have tomorrow, but I can have pretty soon. I can do my best to have it in a week. I can have it in 2 for sure, if that's the will of the council.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Councilwoman Hill, hit your light for me. I'm expecting probably a rescission of that motion.
Yes, we'll rescind that motion and accept a 2-week,
And who seconded that motion?
28.
Who seconded the original motion?
You did.
Henderson, okay, very good, that's the same second. We now have a motion on the floor for a 2-week deferral, taking us to February 28th.
Correct.
And we have a second by Councilman Henderson, I'm just making sure.
Sorry, we've been
It's
saying
okay,
yes
I
over-
understand. Questions or comments before we vote on the deferral to the 28th? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are deferred to February 28th. Thank you all. Under legal, Madam Clerk, item B, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code Part 11, Chapter 21, Section 21-232, jurisdiction of the Office of Administrative Hearing Officer, restrictions on authority relating to short-term vacation rental, litter, and overgrowth issues.
Dr. Burrs,
Move approval?
have a motion to approve? Have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? Oh, Councilwoman Hill, see your light?
I believe that's Part 2, not Part 11.
Part 2.
Part 2?
Yeah. It was just read into the record as 11, but it should be Part 2.
Mr. Attorney, we clear?
Yes, sir. Part 2, Chapter 21.
Very good. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item passes. Planning, item C. Madam Clerk, 0017, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 1514 Shelby Circle, 6340 Middle Valley Road, and 2 unaddressed properties in the 6300 block of Middle Valley Road from R1 Residential Zone, R4 Special Zone, and RT1 Residential Townhouse Zone with conditions to RT1 Residential Townhouse Zone with conditions subject to certain conditions.
Before I go to Councilman Smith, is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have had conversations with the neighboring community as well as the applicant, and we are going to have some additional community meetings to make sure that we've got this hammered out the right way. So with that, I would like to defer until February 28th,
I have a
please.
motion to defer till February 28th. I have several seconds to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is deferred to February 28th. Madam Clerk, item D, please, case 0015.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to lift conditions numbers 1, 3, and 6 of ordinance number 11827 and all other remaining conditions to remain valid and carry over for the properties located at 5993, 5979, and 5965 Highway 153, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I do see an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Councilman
approve.
Smith, I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries on first read. Item E, please, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 2341 Jenkins Road from R1 Residential Zone to RTZ Residential Townhouse 0 Lot Line Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I see an applicant. Is there any opposition present? I see no opposition. This is in District 4. I have a motion to approve. Councilman Henderson?
I was just gonna help you out there, Mr. Chair.
I would
I'll
appreciate
second.
it, sir. I can do a lot of things, but motions I cannot. So I did hear a motion to approve, and I did hear a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries on first read. Item F, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone several properties in the 2600 blocks of Cowart and William Street and the 200 block of West 27th Street from R3 residential zone with conditions to UGC urban general commercial zone with conditions.
Is the applicant present? I have an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Madam Vice Chair,
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item F carries on first reading. Item G, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone an unaddressed property in the 1800 block of Watauga Street from R2 residential zone to UGC urban general commercial zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I do have an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll?
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item G carries on first reading. Item H, Madam Clerk, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 2003 South Beach Street from R2 residential zone to UGC urban general commercial zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I have an applicant present. Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll?
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Thank you. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item H carries on first reading. Item I, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 2109 Ralston Street from R1 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse 0 lot line zone.
Is the applicant present? I have an applicant. Is there opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll?
This is recommended for tonight.
Thank you. Am I on? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, I met with the applicant as well as the constituents, and, there could not be a meeting of the minds, so the applicant is, making a request to withdraw, so I make a motion for withdrawal.
Very good. I have a motion to withdraw. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor of the withdrawal, aye. Opposed? Do we have enough there? Let me circle back around. All those in favor of the withdrawal, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That's better.
I like that. That's much better. Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Item J, Madam Clerk, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 1913 and 1915 South Kelly Street from R2 residential zone and C5 neighborhood commercial zone to UGC urban general commercial zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I see you. Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries on first read. Item K.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 2209 Bailey Avenue from R2 residential zone to UGC urban general commercial zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I have an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Coonrod, this is in your district, ma'am. I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries on first read. Item L, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 1605 Dodds Avenue from R2 residential zone to UGC urban general commercial zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I have an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Coonrod. I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries on first read. Item M, Madam Clerk, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, Article 7, nonconforming uses, to add a new subsection to Section 38-541 to establish legal nonconforming protection to existing two-family dwellings in the R1 residential zone that was lost due to loss of power for more than 100 days.
Have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Thank you. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries on first reading. One nay. Madam Clerk, did you get our one nay, please? Thank you, Councilwoman Knoll. Under Resolutions, Finance, item A, please.
A resolution to approve the city investment policy dated February 2023 practices.
Dr. Burrows.
Move approval.
Motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Under Mayor's Office, without objection from council, we have several CARTA appointments. Madam Clerk, would you please read items B through J, and we will take those as a package.
A resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's reappointment of Leandria Sandifer to the Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority for term beginning on February 8th, 2023 and ending on February 7th, 2028. Item C, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Johan De Niche to Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority for a term beginning on February 8th, 2023 and ending on February 7th, 2028. Item D, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Evan Freeman to the Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority for a term beginning on February 8th, 2023 and ending on February 7th, 2028. Item E, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Stephen Culp to the Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority for a term beginning on February 8th, 2023 and ending on February 7th, 2028. Item F, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of R.C. Reeves to the Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority for a term beginning on February 8th, 2023 and ending on February 7th, 2028. Item G, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Corey Evett to the Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority for a term beginning on February 8th, 2023 and ending on February 7th, 2028. Item H, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Daniela Peterson to the Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority for a term beginning on February 8th, 2023 and ending on February 7th, 2028. Item I, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Bill Nye to the Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority for a term beginning on February 8th, 2023 and ending on February 7th, 2028. And item J, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Sharita Allen to the Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority for a term beginning on February 8th, 2023 and ending on February 7th, 2028.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? I would like to ask if anyone is here that is being appointed to the CARTA board, if you'd raise your hand tonight. Just raise your hand. From all of us, thank you. Thank you for your service to our community. We look forward to the great tasks that are at hand that we know you will tackle for us. We have a motion on the floor. I will ask if all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, board members. Thank you. Without objection, Madam Clerk, would you read items K, L, and M, please? We'll take those as a package.
Item K, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Michael Mallon to the Air Pollution Control Board for a term beginning on February 15th, 2023 and ending on February 14th, 2027. Item L, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Mark Harrison to the Air Pollution Control Board for a term beginning on February 15th, 2023 and ending on February 14th, 2027. And item M, a resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Kevin Boehm to the Air Pollution Control Board for a term beginning on February 15th, 2023 and ending on February 14th, 2027.
Council, I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? Again, if you're here for the Air Pollution Control Board appointment, please raise your hand. Very good. Mr. Mallon, I see there. We thank you for your service. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Now the work begins, sir. All right. Parks and Outdoors. Madam Clerk, will you please read item N and O? We will take those without objection.
Item N, a resolution authorizing the Chattanooga Parks and Outdoors to award Tennessee Rainbow Pops LLC the concessions contract to provide reasonably priced concessions at various recreation programs and events. Item O, a resolution authorizing an amendment to Resolution Number 31421 to change the legal name of AstroTurf Corporation to AstroTurf Construction Corporation, which is a subsidiary company to the original entity and is the contracting entity that is licensed in the state of Tennessee to perform said work.
Parks and Outdoors, have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Items N and O carry. Under Planning, item P, Madam Clerk.
A resolution approving a special exceptions permit for a residential planned unit development for a property located at 3525 Garner Road, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I do have an applicant. Is there any opposition? Present. Councilman Hester?
I want to first thank all the wonderful folks in the Eastdale Kings Point area for their input for this project. I want to move to amend the condition. The condition is to add trees along the fence side that's adjacent to the parking lot.
Sure. Let's get a motion to approve and get this on the floor for discussion.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I have a second to that motion.
We move to amend with the condition of having trees along the fence side adjacent to the parking lot.
Very good. Have a motion to amend. Have a second to that motion. All questions or comments, Mr. Attorney?
We have been provided with a condition here, type B, landscape buffer between parking lots and the exterior PUD boundary. And that is what has been recommended by Ms. Rennick on there. That'll work.
Is that your condition, sir?
That's a condition.
Very good. Condition will stand. All those in favor of the condition say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'll take a motion to approve as amended, sir.
Thank you. Move to approve as amended.
I have a motion to approve as amended. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments? Councilwoman Coonrod, I see you.
Thank you, Chair. I got
Yes,
a
ma'am.
comment. Thank you, Mr. Jennings, for taking the risk to invest in the Eastdale community. This community, as you know, has had a lack of investment coming into it. Thank you for bringing this concept of creating micro homes in this area. And I hope it's a concept that will continue to be throughout the city of Chattanooga and Hamilton County as well. The value that it's going to bring to this area. Just overall, you've invested in Eastdale quite a lot now. And I just want to express my thanks and appreciation, even though it's on District 5 side, it's Eastdale, I claim all of it. And, but in 25, that side will be included in District 9. But again, I just want to express my thanks.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We do have a motion on the floor to move as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries as amended. Public Works, item Q, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to approve change order number 1 with Integrated Properties LLC of Chattanooga, Tennessee for contract number C170172001, wood recycle new facility to reconcile the current contract with revised pricing for holding price for additional time, conduit, and cabling for temporary scale, quantity overrun for demolition of concrete and asphalt, floor leveling of existing flooring, and other plan changes to increase by $132,757.59 for a revised amount of $1,790,141.24 with a contingency amount of $80,000 for a total amount of $1,870,141.24.
Madam Vice Chair.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve. Have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, item R, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Public Works to award contract number M22001-201 Mayor's Conference Room to Integrated Properties LLC of Chattanooga, Tennessee in the amount of $170,904 with a contingency in the amount of $20,000 for a total amount of $190,904.
It's in District 8. Have a motion to approve. Have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Item S, please.
A resolution authorizing year 3 of a 5-year term for the on-call blankets contracts for on-call design and plan production services, contract number S2000410 with the following firms: WK Dixon, Volcourt, Barge Design, SNME, RK&K, Geocentric, CTI, Croy, Chazen, Brown and Caldwell, and Arcadis, that each consultant qualified for the renewal of the 5 one-year blanket contracts for the professional services estimated at $1,050,000 total annually for all 11 professional firms for use by all departments.
Have a motion to
Second.
approve. I have a second to that motion. Questions or comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. That will conclude our ordinances and resolutions for this evening. Purchases. Ms. Julia, good afternoon. I almost said evening. It's a little earlier. We have 4 purchases, 2 contract renewals, 0 RFPs, and 0 emergencies to report this evening.
Correct. We have 4 purchases recommended for approval, the first being from the Fleet Management Division of Public Works. This is a new blanket contract for BMW R1250 RTP motorcycles for the Chattanooga Police Department. 6 bids were requested and 2 were returned. The award goes to Pandora's European Motorsports. This will be a 4-year agreement not to exceed $125,000. The second is from Technology Services. This is a new purchase agreement for professional services to provide branding and website development for the city. 18 bids were requested and 7 were returned. The agreement is not to exceed $259,920. The award will go to Perkins and Will as the best proposal for the city of Chattanooga. The third is from Economic Development. This is a new contract for a housing market analysis report. 3 bids were requested and 3 were returned. This will be a 1-year agreement not to exceed $82,560 per year. The award will go to Reinvestment Fund, Inc. as the best proposal for the city of Chattanooga. The fourth purchase is from Parks and Outdoors. The department has requested a $5,000 contract increase from the originally approved $112,500 to $117,500 for turf treatment and athletic field maintenance at select city parks from Weedman Lawn Care. This additional $5,000 is to fund this agreement from now until the end of the current term, which expires on April 3rd of 2023.
Council, you've heard tonight's purchase request.
Move approval.
Motion to approve. I have a second to that. For those of you following along, council does receive purchases ahead of time and has an opportunity to ask questions, and also again today at the agenda session to ask questions and to receive those answers from administration. Motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Purchases are approved. We will now move into committee reports for this afternoon. Councilwoman Coonrod, we'll start with you. You want to hit your light for me so we can hear you? Thank you, ma'am.
I was saying, I feel like those micro homes is economic development, but I forgot to add that Mr. Jennings, he was an at-risk youth in the West Side. And we always talk about how we want people to come back and invest in Chattanooga. He went and played professional ball overseas, and he came back, he's giving back. In fact, he's one of the kids who, Troy, was under Troy Rogers' leadership in the West Side. So again, I thank you. You changed your life around, and you came back and you invested like we want people to do in Chattanooga. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Knoll?
Are you asking for?
No report?
No report. And I would also like to say to Mr. Jennings, your
Let's-
mother and I.
Let's say that in the microphone.
Okay.
You're on.
Okay, so I would also like to say to Mr. Jennings, your mother and I went to Tennessee State together, so we graduated together, so the Hustling Tigers, yes.
Very good. Thank you, Councilwoman. Dr. Burrs?
No report.
All right, thank you. Councilman Henderson? Councilwoman Hill? Councilman Smith? Councilman Hester? Hit your light for me, sir.
They put me on the spot, Rashad, but thank you for all the work you're doing, and I'm looking for good things from you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Madam Vice Chair?
No report, but I did want to make an announcement. Many of you were here last week when we honored Ms. Doris Bruce Kelly, so we will have the unveiling of her sign on next Wednesday at 12 p.m. at the intersection of Tennessee Avenue and 46th Street. So if you're available, I ask everyone to come.
Thank you for that. Madam
Thank you.
Clerk, will you please make sure that's on the council website too? Thank you so much. That will conclude our committee reports. We'll now move into recognition of persons wishing to address the council this evening. If you would like to address council, please line up behind the podium, and while we do so, our city attorney will read our public speaking engagement rules.
Yes, sir. At the end of every council meeting, the chair will recognize members of the public who wish to address the council. Here's your rules. Each speaker wishing to address the council shall be recognized only at the microphone up front. You can't have more than 3 minutes to speak, and you can address the council only upon matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority, and not upon matters which are not under the authority of the council or are regulated by other governmental bodies or agencies. Don't use the floor to engage in any vulgar or obscene language, nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others. Speakers should address the council as a whole and not make comments directed towards individual council members. And don't engage in any disorderly conduct or disrupting a public meeting, which is prohibited under Tennessee law. And someone commits an offense like that if the person substantially obstructs or interferes with the meeting by physical action or verbal utterance with the intent to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting. Having given you those rules, sir, please go right ahead.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening. As a member of the Brothers United chapter of the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters that was founded here in Chattanooga by a former member of the Chattanooga Fire Department and the late Leroy Norwood and other firefighters in 1972, our purpose has always been to increase the hiring of African Americans in the fire service, educate our citizens about fire and life safety, injury prevention, activities while working with civic groups, neighborhood associations, and daycare providers. We are here this evening to ask for your support with the David James Floyd Youth Camp. Dave Floyd was the first president of the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters. He worked in FDNY until he retired as a captain. The camp is dedicated to honor his legacy. His vision in 1974 was to create a youth camp where kids could establish a safe, dynamic interaction and physical challenging environment to gain strength and knowledge, while building confidence, cultivating our youth leadership skills. Our city was selected to be the model for this camp based on its location and its beauty. The plans, the plans for this camp is to be located in every region in the United States of America. We need your support and your assistance in locating youth in your districts. We are going to every middle school and youth organization, and a review of this application has been handed out to you. To better understand and gain the mission of the youth camp, the camp is free for boys and girls ages 11 to 15. We hope to have at least 35 to 40 young people at this first camp. As the executive director and the community outreach coordinator for the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters, I said Chattanooga was the model for this camp, and it is. I hope that it would stay in Chattanooga, but that would be greedy. We have firefighters all throughout this United States of America, so what Chattanooga does is going to be the model for this youth camp. It will be located at Booker T. Washington State Park. It will start July the 2nd to July the 8th. I really appreciate you all giving me this opportunity to address you as a retired firefighter with 28 years of service in the Chattanooga Fire Department. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, sir. We're going to put this information on our website as well, and I'm sure council members will want to reach out and to obtain further information on how we can help you. And thank you for coming this evening or this afternoon.
And I know my time up, but I am still in the public service mode. I hadn't got out of that, so my number is public. Just call me before my wife go to sleep at 7:30.
I'll make a note of that. Councilwoman Knoll, I do see your light.
Yes, Mr. Brooks. Thank you so much for all that you do for the city of Chattanooga. You have been on the forefront doing what needed to be done for whomever it might be the elderly, putting up smoke detectors in their homes, making sure fire extinguishers were available, helping with cleaning up the neighborhood. So I thank you for all that you do. The youth is definitely important to us. So anything that I might be able to do to help you, I am on board with you 100%.
Thank you so much. And I don't mean to steal anybody's thunder, but Mr. Jennings' daddy was my second cousin. And this young man standing here used to live at my apartment when he was a young man there in the fire department. So if Alan could tell you the part that the Chattanooga Fire Department is playing in this, we have gotten acknowledgement from everybody. I was a part of the Local 820 as well. So everybody has been contacted with this youth camp. Everybody's on board.
And my husband was also a member of the International Association of Black Firefighters.
Yes.
Fantastic. Alan, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I promise I won't take.
You're fine, brother. You're fine.
I promise. But I'm just here to back up Brother Freddie and what he said earlier with the camp. This is a perfect opportunity. If not, I like to call it a profound opportunity. Well, you don't see a lot of these things happening often in Chattanooga.
That's right.
When it comes down to several organizations working together. And just like he said with the fire department, as well as the Brother United and other people we have spoken to, everybody is deeply and thoroughly immersed in what we're trying to do here with this David Floyd camp. We did meet with the fire department, and we're on board. And I say they, but I mean we are on board, and that's why we're here today, as Freddie said, to lay it out and what it looks like and what it's going to be, because it will set the groundwork and the foundation for that accessibility that we have been asking for our youth to be involved and to have opportunities presented to them, not just to hear today and then I won't see you for another 6-7 months. But we're going to be there and continue to push this out and this information. This is what you can be. This is what you can do. And the fire department is just heavily involved in the community now. You all know that. So with this camp and being supported, our chiefs are all on board from one end of the hallway to the other end. And it's just a great opportunity. Great opportunity. So I'm going to be quiet for you tell me I'm talking.
No, hang on, Alan. You know you're not getting away that quick. Dr. Burrs, hit your light for me.
Yeah, so you did good.
I did. How much time was it?
So y'all looking for financial support as well?
I would say so. Yes, brother.
I mean, I wasn't sure whether it was a funded project or.
As I stated earlier, I am a 28-year veteran of the Chattanooga Fire Department. I know not to come before the council about money first. But yes, we are just looking for sponsorship, but it's free for the kids. That's why we need sponsorship. The budget is not that high. I think our budget is about $30,000, but we're just trying to make it that amount so that we can give the kids everything that they need. They are going to stay overnight, so we are looking to have a public safety night as well, so you all will be invited to come out and address the youth. We are basically doing leadership, team building. We may do first aid, but we want to get to them first so that someone can take your place in city council.
You don't gotta tell me, I'm just asking if you all.
Donations
Alan,
are appreciated.
Can we talk later and let's
Yes.
just see how we can do some financial support.
Yeah.
I'm not tying down the city, this is for me.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
If they fall behind you, then come.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Somebody got to do it first, don't it?
Before you go, I will put our chief of staff on the hot seat, so if you would also talk to him as well. I'll do it. I'll put him in the hot seat.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all for what you do.
Appreciate you. Good to see you.
See, I did.
Always a pleasure. You were great. You were great. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Anyone else wishing to address council this evening? And I do appreciate everyone coming out for this special time. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Council, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.